Welcome to episode 14 of Keeping It Real.
Right. 1-4.
Once again, we're keeping it real. Chris Williams, Jairo De Leon.
That's right.
Our conversation topic today, and I like this one. I like it because we all need this. We all need to know, where does our motivation come from? Barriers in everyone's life, right?
Right.
Good days, bad days, right?
bad
Can you
days.
agree with that?
Yes.
Happy one day, maybe not so happy the next day.
Right.
Natural part of life. But let's talk about yourself. Many ways. So we're gonna hear a lot more about your story, because my goal is I want to be able to let everybody know who Jairo De Leon is. But
Right.
where do you get your motivation from? So where did you get it from?
Yeah.
And then even as of now, as of today, as a counselor, professor, as a father, where does that motivation to continue do better come from?
I think the motivation, Chris,
Yeah.
it's more of a am I going to survive today or not? Do I want to eat today or not? And then I think about the other person, meaning our students,
Yeah.
more likely, right? If we talk in the arena of counseling, is they probably have it worse than me, probably. And let's be honest, we have a great job. We love what we do. So that's where my motivation comes, coming to work, is establishing hope in an individual's life. So when I see a student come in my office, I want them to see hope. Like, man, this guy's living his life. I want that. So that's where my motivation comes with as a counselor. And then as a dad, I want to top my dad. Like my dad's here, I want to top my dad.
Yeah.
I want to
And I know he would love to hear you say
Oh,
that
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's
And my-
every dad's dream.
Because at the end of the day, my dad didn't have a father. I mean, he had biological dad, right? But he didn't have a father in the home. But me and him have deep conversations about how
Nice.
much he wishes that he would have had a father like he is to me. So I take it to the next level. How can I be probably better than my dad to my kids, you know? But I think a lot of the motivation too, Chris, comes from pain. Come from that deep pain, backslash anger, or where you're at in life. Being an immigrant, man, it was tough, you know? A lot of people always ask me, well, you know, what motivated you to continue going to school as an immigrant? Well, what happened was I started realizing I wanted to have that nice house. So that became a motivation. I want to be able to go to a restaurant and I go, how much is it? Wow.
So Jairo, when you say as an immigrant, are you saying when you got here, did you have papers or no papers?
Well, technically, my story is my mom, when they brought me here, 1981, there was that whole amnesty. You know,
Oh,
Ronald
okay.
Reagan threw out there.
Okay.
Hey, when Ronald Reagan passed away, my papa, you know, and I said, Papa, you cool? Mijo, he died. Who died, Pop? Ronald Reagan. I didn't see the significance of it.
Yeah, as a kid.
But
Makes
because
sense.
he's coming and it's like, oh my goodness, no, if it wasn't for his little signature, I would have never got my temporary resident, and then my permanent residency, and my citizenship was 24. So it took me that long.
And you got here when?
I was a kid. My parents brought me as I was a kid.
Right.
So,
right.
I tell a lot of
24
people
years.
that's motivation sometimes, and I talk to other first generation immigrants too, is they ask why is it that we have that thrive to do better, and it's like, I don't know why, man, but we're just immigrants, you know. You look at second, third generation, it's kind of harder to, hey, why don't you go to school? Well, we were thinking about it. But going back to that motivation, Chris, I think sometimes we got to look back of where we were and to think where we want to be in the future. So that motivates me. So even as a student, going to Chaffey College, going to Cal State San Bernardino, I was a new kid on the block, you know. By the way, that's a band for you guys. Don't know what that's a band, New Kids on the Block. But I reflect on that every single day, man. I'm in a great arena to be an educator, to be a motivator. Just because I think that's what they need. Students need that, because they don't have it at home. I didn't have it at home. You know, that's what we do, the mill mentoring.
Yeah.
Because we want to mentor, we want to motivate these students. Say, hey, you know what? There's hope. There's happiness at the end of the rainbow. You know, but more your motivation, man. I know you got a junior in your life, right?
yeah.
So I mean, and you have a daughter. What's your motivation every day in and day out, man? What does it look like?
You know, interesting story before I go into that. Like I love, especially at this point in my life, to just live my life happy, and my goal is to bring joy to others, rather that be positive attitude, a smile on my face, handshake, joke. I just love that.
Right.
And just that energy, it bounces off. And just a quick funny story. I hope the Riverside County sheriffs don't see this. But last two times, so just recently last week, I got pulled over and I was with my son, right? Definitely totally my fault.
Right.
Going 50, I was going 69 and 50.
Right.
Got pulled over by the cop. And my son, this is the first time he ever seen me get pulled over. And right when the cop came up, I rolled down the window. I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? And he's like, hey, what's going on? He
Too
said,
much energy.
Yeah. Oh, this is me every day. It's not a fake.
Right.
And he said, I pulled you over. I said, I know. I was going a little fast. My bad. I'm late to his practice. I was like, I know you got a hard job. You got a job to do. Go on and do what you got to do. Yeah. And we had a little conversation. He was like, I just bought a Tesla. So he's looking at Tesla. He's like, oh, yeah, real nice car. And then he made a joke. He was like, Williams? And I was like, do I know you? His motorcycle cop? So he had all his gear on and everything. I'm like, do I know you?
Yeah.
And he's like, no. He said, we got this new system, blah, blah,
Gotcha.
blah. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, well, I got to go give you a ticket and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, yeah, no problem. I was like, thank you. You're doing your job. I appreciate it.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Right. I know I was going fast.
Right.
I'm not going to make this guy's life harder. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my son. And I said, hey, sometimes your dad's not perfect, but this is a learning lesson for you to, obey the speed laws, whatever.
Yeah.
Guy comes back and he says, you know what? You really made my day good. He's like, so I'm going to give you a warning. Now, the behind the scenes is that's my second warning that I've gotten in like the last 3 months. But the reason why I say that is because just having a positive attitude.
Gotcha.
Now, had I have said to him, dude, why are you pulling me over? I'm late.
Yeah.
I would have gotten that ticket.
Yeah.
Not that I cared that I would have gotten a ticket because I deserved it at that time. But I was just like, I'm going to just be who I am and we'll just see how it goes. So I say that because the motivation, the reason why I have this like just optimistic, happy personality is because, man, growing up, you already know, growing up, I had to do a lot of work to get here.
Right.
I had to go through a lot of barriers to get here. But that motivation to get through was because, like you said, I always saw like the life I wanted. I visualized it, and I had this work ethic that no matter what, I was gonna get there. Like I could see where I wanted to be. I could see it. Since I was a little kid, I knew what I wanted out of my life.
Right.
And that drive that I had, regardless of what barriers, regardless of what tears came down the face, I told myself, I'm going to get to a place where I have this perfect work-life balance. I could see every one of my son and daughter's basketball and volleyball game. I could make good money.
Yeah.
I wanted it all.
Yeah.
It was like you put in your dream job, and most people would be like, no, there's nothing out there like that.
Exactly.
But there is.
There is.
If you see it.
Right.
And you visualize it. So that's why I'm optimistic. There's nothing that someone could do that's going to mess up my day.
Right.
There's nothing.
Yeah, because I think if we allow people to mess up our days,
it could happen just like
it's
that.
like that. Your life changes. You make radical decisions because you're already heated about something. But when you're motivated, you're excited, you're positive thinking. But it's a practice, okay? It's something we have to, I practice it every day. I tell my students when I teach a guidance class, self-talk.
Yeah.
And I give the example. Sometimes you got to do self-talk in the morning, in the afternoon, while you're driving home.
What's your self-talk?
Oh, hey, De Leon, D Lion. King of the wild. I'm telling you, I got no hair, man, but I'm still the king of the wild. But I tell that to myself because I don't need someone to tell me that.
Exactly.
Not even my wife. I am the man. I don't have to go in my house and kicking doors and, hey,
Yeah.
Pop is here. Even the dog comes and goes and says and greets me. And I tell my kids all the time, don't let the dog beat you because I'm your father.
You're right.
You know,
right.
so I still have that motivation. But believe it or not, Chris,
What does that do
7:30.
for you? It starts your day off something different, right?
it does. It gives me that fresh, gives me that purpose. You know, is in my
D-Lion.
my
I
oldest.
like that.
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm the D-Lion. You know what I'm saying? And then my oldest always says, you know, Dad, you're too much. And I said, babe, and I'm gonna throw it out there, but there's a joke around my family, right? That one day my wife says, "Man, relax, Peaches," right? I said, "Baby, it's all mango." My kids now is no, Daddy, it's not Peaches, it's mango. You know, but it's something where it's constantly. I'm always telling my kids, look for the positive. Every time we
Right.
have dinner,
Right.
I remind my kids how privileged they are. And my kids go, "What?" I said, "Look, you guys will never have to share a bedroom ever, ever. You know,
Relate, sir.
you
I
got your
can
own
relate.
shower,
Absolutely.
bathroom. We
Yeah.
had to share
Yeah.
with family members,
And the concept of sharing a room does not register
doesn't
with
equate.
the medulla.
Nada. So that means nothing, by the way. Just one of my non-Spanish speakers, but they don't understand that. And I tell my kids, yeah, and I look over to my wife because she sits on my right hand side when we eat. I say, these kids have it too good, ma. Like I even get angry sometimes. They have it too good,
Yeah.
but then it's like you think about when you were in your childhood. We didn't think about that. We
No.
just lived life.
We
That
just
was
lived.
just life.
Yeah. And this conversation that we have the privilege
Yes.
of having today
Yes.
was not something that, again, was just given. Like there
Correct.
was no, this was not given. There was no, like rent paid or
Right.
or help with barriers, and that's not bad. You know, my parents did the best that they could
They
do
could.
at their time.
That's right.
But this, it feels so good now that as an adult, I could look and say, like, wow,
Yeah.
we did this. You know, remember our first little 700 square foot apartment that our rent was $950,
Yeah.
and my wife, she was good with her half. She knew
Yeah.
how she was gonna pay it, but I had no clue how I was gonna pay my half of this. Was when we were just
Yeah.
boyfriend, girl, not even married at the
Right,
time.
right.
No bank account shared. It was. Are you going to be able to make? We'll be able to do it. And I didn't take the
Yeah.
mask off. I said,
Yeah. Yeah, we got it.
"Got this."
Yeah, got it. I know the
I
bank
got
owner.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Or even
the code to the vote.
hey, but I give it even worse. You get married, you go to your honeymoon, you come back, they lay you off. That's my story.
Ooh.
I'm all happy coming back
Ooh.
from the Mexican Riviera, balcony, looking at the sea, look at little turtle, little dolphins. I'm loving it, man.
Yeah.
I come home. Oh yeah,
I appreciate
you
the
know, there's
details.
just
Yeah, that's
soft
real.
money for counseling. We gotta let you go. Had to go back home, man. But I had to stay motivated, though.
Yeah.
And this is where I think a lot of your support needs to come from people who really love you and care for you and want to look out for the best for you. I call my pops. I say, "Hey, Dad, I lost my job." Da, da, da. But this is one thing. Once again, I love my pop. Mijo, there's always something better. Why are you tripping? There's a reason why they let you go here, because there's something else is waiting for you. That motivation there took
You're
it to
like,
my wife. And then when I told my wife, she says, "Yeah, I know that. It's a matter of time." So that same motivation, I think about the families and the young men out there. If you're struggling with something and you feel that's going to be overwhelming, we got you. Chris and I are here for you.
here.
That's why, and honestly, this conversation we're having right now, it was just something we thought about. It's
Yeah.
straight up shooting conversation. We didn't research it. We didn't go, what data tells us about a conversation that young men should have. We thought about it. What do we want to tell our young men out there and people watching? Motivation. Stay motivated.
Yeah. And again, visualize. Where do you want to be? Like, subscribe, share this with somebody.
Right.
And we want to hear from you. Leave
Please,
comments.
please.
Tell us what's up. What you think? What's your motivation? Come see us in the counseling department. General Counseling. EOPS.
EOPS.
We're here for you.
All right. You guys
Take
have
care.
a wonderful day. You guys take care.